Social pressure does not just make decisions feel uncomfortable. It quietly edits the menu of options you can even see. In a loud room, noise can feel like consensus. In a rushed moment, speed can feel like necessity. When someone looks disappointed, that face can feel like moral evidence, and a confident person can seem more correct than a careful one. The useful reframe is simple. Pressure is data about the social environment. Pressure is not proof that the pressured decision is good. Once you notice that, you can treat pressure like any other signal. You can classify it, test it, and decide how much weight it deserves. The goal is not to become immune to people. The goal is to stay procedural when your attention is being compressed. A pressured decision has 5 variables worth checking, almost like a quick instrument scan. First, stakes. What can be lost, damaged, exposed, committed, or delayed? Second, reversibility. Can you correct the decision later at acceptable cost? Third, evidence. What is known, unknown, assumed, or being withheld? Fourth, audience. Who is watching, judging, benefiting, or recording? And fifth, exit cost. What happens if you slow down, ask questions, refuse, or leave? That last one matters more than most people admit. High exit cost is where just say yes becomes the default, even for careful thinkers. If slowing down triggers punishment, or loss of access, or a status hit, then your decision space shrinks. Here is a counterintuitive rule that works. Pressure should make you more procedural, not more impulsive. When the social temperature rises, you don't need more courage. You need a smaller, clearer process. One practical move is to triage the request before you debate its substance. Start with a single question. Does this require immediate action to prevent concrete harm? Not awkwardness, not disappointment, not someone's impatience. Concrete harm. If the answer is yes, act, but act small. Take the smallest safe step. Assign an owner. Document what is still undecided. That last part protects you later, when urgency tries to rewrite history. If the answer is no, move to the next question. Is the decision high stakes or hard to reverse? If it is, do not commit live. Say when you will review it, what evidence you need, and who the decision owner is. That one sentence does a lot of work. It turns a social contest into an operations problem. It also makes who decides explicit, which reduces the chance you absorb responsibility without authority. If the decision is low stakes and reversible, check for missing evidence, unclear authority, or hidden cost. If any of those are present, make only a conditional or reversible commitment. You can say yes to review, yes to a draft, yes to a small test. You are not required to say yes to the whole thing. Then comes the most clarifying branch. Is the pressure coming from audience, status, loyalty, or emotional escalation rather than the object-level issue? If yes, name the process constraint out loud. Something like, I am not deciding this under public pressure. I will respond by 4 p.m. Notice what that does. It does not argue, it does not defend. It moves the decision to a channel where evidence can exist. Now, to make all of this easier, it helps to recognize common pressure archetypes. These are patterns, not diagnoses. People can switch between them, and good people can use them by accident. One familiar pattern is the urgency compressor. You hear, quick yes or no, or we don't have time, or everyone is waiting. The driver is usually speed and frame control. Fast agreement reduces inspection. Your response is to ask for the real deadline. Ask what happens if you delay, and ask for the smallest reversible step you can take right now. If they cannot name a consequence of delay, the urgency is likely manufactured. If they can, you can still right-size your response. Another pattern is the consensus carrier. That sounds like, we all think, or everyone is aligned, or nobody else has concerns. Group alignment is being used as evidence. The correction is not to argue with the group. It is to request named positions, or decision criteria, or an explicit dissent check. Who specifically reviewed it is a strong question. So is, what would change your mind? Real consensus can survive being made legible. Fake consensus usually cannot. A sharper pattern is the status tester. Here, hesitation is framed as weakness or disloyalty. You might hear, are you in or out? Or do you even understand this? Or, if you were confident, you would just do it. The trap is defending your identity. Once you start proving you are smart, loyal, or brave, you are no longer deciding. You are performing. A better move is to return to the decision object. State the criterion. I am deciding based on reversibility and evidence, or I am not trading rigor for approval. You do not need to explain your personality. You need to explain your process. Then there is the consequence amplifier. This one inflates the cost of refusal or delay. Catastrophic forecasts arrive without proportional evidence. If we don't do this now, we will lose everything. Or, this will be a disaster. Anxiety is contagious. That is the point. The response is to ask for the consequence chain. What exactly happens? In what order? Ask probability, timing, and reversibility. How likely is that outcome? And by when? Specificity drains the magic out of vague doom. Another high-impact pattern is the false binary maker. Two options are presented. When more exist. With us or against us. Now or never. Support this or admit you don't care. Your job is to name the binary, and then add a legitimate third option. That third option is often staged commitment, or a limited trial, or a no, paired with an alternative. You can also delay commitment until the option set is visible. If someone fights the existence of option 3, they are not asking for a decision, they are asking for submission. Next is the rescue recruiter. This one hands you an emergency role. You are the only one who can fix this. Please just cover this once. The driver is relief and responsibility transfer. Many conscientious people fall for this, because compassion is real. The move is to separate compassion from ownership. Define what you can do, what you cannot absorb, and what changes afterward. I can help for 2 hours today. I cannot own this system. After today, we need a rotation. Without the what changes afterward, rescues become a lifestyle. Finally, watch for the public commitment seeker. They want agreement, loyalty, endorsement, or disclosure in front of observers before you can evaluate privately. The audience is doing the binding. Here, the best tool is a channel shift. Move the decision to the proper place. Offer process commitment, not substantive commitment. I will review and respond by tomorrow. I am not endorsing this live. Once you can name these patterns, you can also read pressure signals more clearly. Signals come in verbal forms like forced binaries, loyalty tests, exaggerated consequences, or sudden moral framing. They also come non-verbally, like coordinated staring after a request, visible impatience, laughter after a status jab, or silence used as enforcement. Context matters too. Pressure often lands when you are isolated, tired, dependent, or already publicly positioned, and there is a temporal signal that is easy to miss. Repeated emergencies that always require your sacrifice but never produce system change. If every week is a fire drill, the environment is the product. In these moments, short, traceable sentences beat long explanations. I need the latest decision time. I can review this, not approve it live. That is a false binary. Another option is staged commitment. I am not agreeing while being accused for asking questions. And sometimes just, no, I am not available for that. Pressure also creates predictable failure modes, even for skilled professionals. One is premature commitment to a pressured frame. You agree to the wrong question, and then you spend weeks optimizing inside it. The recovery is to restate the actual decision, separate what you agreed to versus what others assumed, then renegotiate scope before dependencies form. Another failure is treating discomfort as evidence. You feel tension, and you conclude the request must be important, or you must be wrong. Discomfort is not evidence. It is a signal to classify the source. Is it time pressure, audience pressure, status pressure, loyalty pressure, emotional escalation? Then return to facts, stakes, and reversibility. A different trap is overcorrecting into reflexive resistance. After being pressured, you start rejecting anything that feels urgent, even when urgency is legitimate. The fix is to separate pressure from the underlying request. Accept valid urgency while rejecting a coercive process. Another common one is private disagreement after public compliance. You nod in the meeting, then object later in direct messages when it is safer. That delays correction, and it amplifies the cost of changing course. Recovery is to correct quickly in the proper channel. Distinguish live room acknowledgement from actual commitment, then restate the boundary. And a painful classic is absorbing responsibility without authority. You end up accountable for outcomes you cannot control because you were the reliable one in the room. The recovery is to state your contribution, name the decision owner, and refuse accountability for decisions you do not get to make. All of these tactics point to one deeper idea. Social pressure narrows the decision field. Do not confuse the easiest social branch with the best decision branch. Identify the stakes. Check reversibility. Separate real urgency from manufactured urgency. Use delay when delay improves the decision. Reduce irreversible commitments into smaller reversible steps. Refuse public binding when private evaluation is required. A defensible decision under pressure is not always popular in the moment, but it is traceable afterward.